Alright, so the game we are going to create is called Killer Color. Now whenever you create any project or you work on any game, it's a good idea to work on something on a piece of paper or a software in computer where you can plot out the storyboarding for it. It makes it easy to plan the game, as well as you can get an overall feel of how the gameplay will be. So all the changes you make on this is better than doing it in game. It's more effective that way. So what we are going to do is we're going to have a platform, this platform, which is going to be the bounds for our player to move around and also for the killer to spawn. So the killer is basically a spear that's going to be falling from sky, and we will have a shadow at the bottom to give player a hint of where it's going to fall. Now for the rules of the game, how you can score in this game, when you start the game, your player is going to have any random color from a list of colors we're going to specify. So let's say our player is blue, and the killers that will be spawned will have random colors as well. So let's say the killer is blue as well. So if they match the color, you need to collect them before it falls and hits the ground. So that's how you score. Each time you collect the same color, you score a point. Now how would the game end, or the ways you would die? So there are two ways for that. One is if you fail to collect the same color. So if it's blue falling and you fail to collect it, you are blue, you lose the game. And the second is if you collect the wrong color. So if our player is say blue and you collect a green killer instead, so that's how you would die. So some gameplay rules for this game is, like I said, the player will start with a random color, then the spawning killers will have random color as well, but we're not going to give completely random to them. We're going to give it 50% chance that it is the color of the player. Otherwise, there will be a lot of possibilities where you would end up moving around for a long time without having to collect any. So that 50% is a good chance. Now the third thing is when killer hits the floor. So let's say your player is blue and this is green, so you're not supposed to collect it. So when it falls on the ground, your player turns green. So every time you don't collect a killer that you're not supposed to collect, the player color changes as well. So it adds to the dynamism where you need to keep checking what color you are and what color you need to pick or collect. Now again, another level of difficulty we're going to add to this game is every time you successfully score a point, so say you collected the right killer, then next killer spawn will be a bit faster when it hits the ground. So that way, the more points you collect, the game will get harder and harder till it reaches a max value, and that's will be the last speed that killers will be falling at. And at the end of the game, obviously we will be collecting score data, which will be high score and the last score, and we're going to save it. So even if you start the game next time, those data will be there. So that's basically about the gameplay. Now about the system, how we would do it in Unreal Engine, we're going to have a game mode that's going to be the center of the entire project. The game mode will hold everything: the scores, the start game, the end game, the colors that killer and the player can have, and every tiny bit of details that gameplay is going to hold. So that's going to be part of game mode. Now we'll have the other three parts of this game are player, which is our player character, the killer, that's the spears that gonna fall, and the HUD, which is the heads up display. So heads up display is basically the UI part of the game, and each of these will access the functions and events from game mode. So that way it's easier to manage. Everything about the player will be in the player class or player blueprint. Everything about the HUD will be in HUD blueprint. Everything about the killer will be in the killer blueprint, but everything about the gameplay and how the entire thing functions will be in game mode, and each will access the game mode. So basically it's best idea to plan your game like this before you get started, and it makes the work a lot more easier that way. So in the next video we'll start with the Unreal Engine project and get busy with it. See you there.